What's up everybody, Joseph Hadaway here. So the video I'm making today isn't exactly something I'd usually talk about, but I really liked this topic, so I had to bring it up. I recently introduced to Theodore from Do Not Save Money. Now, if you're like me and hadn't previously heard of Do Not Save Money, they're a weekly newsletter, blog, I'm not exactly sure they categorize themselves, that feed you side hustle ideas every week. I believe it's Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I think. Don't quote me on that. Check their website. I'm going to link all of them, everything about them in the description. So check them out. Either way, I met Theodore. He offered to write a guest post for my blog, which you can check out on my website. Again, link in the description. And I obviously said yes. And we got to spitballing different topics that we liked, didn't like, what he could write about, what I've been meaning to write about or meaning to talk about. And we ended up on popular side hustles that just aren't worth the time. And that's a topic I've really been meaning to dive into, and luckily Theodore did it for me. So again, you can check out his article on my blog. I'm going to post the link. Shout out to him. This is not a paid promotion, but I'm going to talk about my thoughts on it real quick. And don't forget, we're on the road to 3,000 subs this year, so make sure to go down to the nice red subscribe button, help me out a little bit, and let's get into it. All right, and as I always start these videos, if you're looking at me over here in the corner, I'm probably looking over here quite a bit, because that's where my second screen that I pull these things up on is. Deal with it. Maybe one day I'll get a better setup. Who knows? Either way. So getting into the article as a little background here, if you Google side hustles, you're going to find that 90% of sites have the exact same information, maybe just worded a little differently. I mean, that's the exact same side hustles, the exact same affiliate links, the exact same ideas, maybe even the exact same ads too. And really, that's because 90% of online financial media is little more than clickbait, but I'm going to talk about that a little later. That's a topic for another video. So what Teddy did here is he went through and Googled popular side hustle ideas, like I'm sure many of you watching this video have done in the past, and found the ones that aren't really worth the time, whether we're talking like an hourly rate, won't make you money, whatever. Let's look at the article and see what he did. All right, so first up on the list here, he wrote taking online surveys. And if you watched my, I guess 2 videos ago, depending on when this exact comes out, my failures video, you'll know that I counted surveys as a long-time failure of mine. I put way too much sunk time into something that was not ROIing as much as it should have. Yes, I made some money on it, but I mean, I even quoted a Bankrate article in that your average survey site might pay you $1 an hour here in the US, and that's a big might. Most of even the top 15 barely broke 75 cents an hour, so you're not gonna make a lot of money off this. It's easy, but it's time consuming, and it's just not worth it for almost everything. And I really like his second point on here that he put out, that most of these survey sites don't actually pay you in cash. That's facts. That's completely true. Like branded surveys, I know is one that'll pay you out through PayPal or ACH, but if you're looking at like, your swag bucks, or he even brought up my points here, it's nice for an Amazon gift card or even a Visa gift card if you get lucky. But if you're looking for a side hustle to pay the bills or help you build wealth, Amazon gift cards aren't how you get there. All right, so next up on this list, we've got driving for Uber and Lyft. And I'm going to expand this even out to include apps like he brings it up on here, Instacart, DoorDash, Grubhub, Postmates. I feel like every time I blink, there's another, I guess, freelance 1099 driving app out there that can make you money with your car, but most of them, I mean, like he mentions on here, it's very saturated, and which is surprising. He mentions Uber founded in 2009. We're talking, these are only 14-year-old companies, even a little less, depending on exactly when they were founded and when they started picking up steam, I guess is how I'm going to word that. I know people who make good money doing this, but it's a saturated market. I know people who make full-time income doing this, but they all live in a larger city, so it's very dependent on where you live. My big take on this one is, you may not make a lot per hour, especially when you factor in your gas cost and just the average wear and tear on your car for the extra miles. I'm definitely gonna rank this one as a don't knock it till you try it, because it is heavily dependent on where you live and what the market is like in your specific area. But especially here in the US, for most of your suburban or even really getting into rural areas, you're not gonna make a lot of money on it. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, because it is a very legitimate side hustle, but don't quit your day job for it until you know for a fact that you can. All right, next up on this list, we've got donating bodily fluids. So because YouTube has a terms of service, we're going to say that he means donating plasma and nothing else. There's nothing else that you may donate and get paid for. That's it. So I had to look this up. I mean, I know it's a stereotypical broke American college student thing, donate plasma, make some extra cash, but I didn't know anyone actually count this as a side hustle. I don't like it. I mean, just to start with, the idea of selling part of your body, and Theodore mentions this in the article as well, that selling part of your body but labeling it as a side hustle feels very dystopian to me, and that's a part of capitalism, I guess, that I choose not to be part of. So yeah, you can definitely make a little bit of cash on this, but when we're looking at side hustles and what I try to promote on my channel and my platform and what Theodore tries to promote on his, looking at scalable side hustles that you can repeat, maybe even make into a business and a regular stream of income that aren't selling off some of the fluids inside of your body. And I like what he put here toward the end, is the big point on this isn't that it won't make you money, it's that it's just not scalable. You can only donate so many times a week, so many times a year, and then what? All right, next up we have reselling thrifted items. And I gotta say, I've read through this. This is probably the one on the list that I disagree the most with, but like, Theodore brings up a really good point. I will add here, I know I may sound a little critical of this article at times, but this is a phenomenal article. Also, subscribe to Do Not Save Money's newsletter. Everything they put out is absolutely phenomenal. Big fan of what they're doing. Highly recommend. I love this article, and I am very proud to publish it on my blog. But hey, other people's takes, gotta talk about them. So reselling thrifted items. This is probably my least favorite one here on this list, because, I mean, like, people like my boy Flips for Miles exist, who make full-time, if not better than full-time income, just reselling items, whether on eBay, Amazon. You even have people like the Frugal Gay, who bought his first ever house hack rental property mostly off of flipping bras on eBay. And I think he's expanded into Facebook Marketplace too, based on some of his tweet screenshots. I'll see if I can find some of those to post here. But Theodore's completely right in this one. When it comes to reselling items, you really have to know what you're getting into, because it's a very crowded space that, especially since like eBay exists for free, Facebook Marketplace exists for free, Craigslist exists for free. Even if you get the deluxe Amazon FBA package, I'm not sure the monthly cost, but I know it's well under $100. I want to say it's only like $20.99, which is a cost barrier, but it's not that high. So for most people, the barrier to entry this is just non-existent. So anyone can go out right now and flip an item. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. So if you're looking to do this very part-time, casually, here and there when you find it, you're going to put a lot more man hours into this than you are actually going to make some money, and your hourly rate is going to be next to nothing. And that's just how it works. That said, this is extremely scalable, and he mentions this at the bottom. You know, if you're not this committed, then this side hustle probably isn't for you, and you probably won't even break minimum wage for the time you're putting in. Could not agree more with that. If you're not willing to put in the work, and you're not willing to scale your flipping business, or whatever you want to call it, you're not going to make any money off of it. That's just the real side of things. All right, so last up in this article, we have becoming a translator. And let me step back a little bit, which is probably the phrase I use most on this channel, whatever though. So when Theodore and I were looking at this article and discussing it and what exactly we pictured it being about before he even put pen to paper, we talked about what side hustles will earn you less than the federal minimum wage on average. So take example surveys. Like we talked about, the average hourly rate for that here in the US is $1 an hour if you get a good site, sometimes even a little less. Well, federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. You'd be better off working minimum wage than you would be taking surveys. And then you take into other things like Uber driving, Lyft driving, even reselling thrifted items where you have massive income potential. You can make a lot of money doing any of those things, and several people, that is their full-time gig, which is great. But the average person who's just doing a very part-time side hustle isn't going to make a lot, if anything at all. Sometimes, especially when you factor in gas costs, inventory costs, shipping costs, depending on which side hustle you go with, you might be doing good to break even. Granted, both of those are extremely scalable and again have very high, near unlimited theoretically income potential, but for the average person, you're better off working a minimum wage job. And that's kind of how we got into becoming a translator here. If you are already bilingual, there's work. There's always going to be work. Maybe that work is around where you live and you can start a full-time business doing it, or there are hundreds, if not thousands, of online platforms who will pay good money for a bilingual translator to come through and do translation work, whether it be legal documents or even just basic communications. That said, if you're not already bilingual, let's call it like it is. It takes a lot of time to learn a new language. A lot of time. For some people, even years. So while there are some phenomenal programs out there that can teach you a new language, it's going to take time, and a lot of those programs cost money as well, outside of the amount of time you've got to put into them to learn the language. So let's say you go out, you spend however many hours, days, weeks, months, years learning a new language. That learning part has no financial ROI while you're doing it. And this is a numbers article. We're looking at numbers. We're not talking cultural or personal ROI. We're looking at just financial. Then you start work as a translator, and if you count all of those hours you put into learning the language, it's going to take you a long time before you've effectively earned minimum wage again. And I understand that's a very roundabout, numbers-only perspective that most people probably wouldn't agree with, because there are some cultural and personal benefits to learning a second language, but it's a finance channel, it's a numbers article, it's how we're looking at things. And last little note on this whole article's creation, we also went through and each of these side hustles were selected based on how quickly can you start earning money today. If you're not bilingual, your time to make money is pretty far. Even Uber, Lyft, DoorDash require an application process. Even if you were to apply right now, you're possibly even still weeks from making money. A personal situation, I applied to drive as an Uber Eats driver back in like 2017 and was approved about a month ago. So your time to make money is pretty far off. So that's about all I'm going to say about this. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Please go check out the article on my website. Please go follow Do Not Save Money on all of their socials. Check out their website, link in the description. Do phenomenal work. Subscribe to their newsletter. Again, this is not a paid promotion. I legitimately just love what they do. And working with Theodore was phenomenal. And I'm really glad that we were able to knock something off my plate that I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while, because a lot of these side hustles just don't pay. So again, make sure to check them out. All the love to them. Really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Again, we're on that road to 3K this year. Follow me on all my social medias that are probably right about here right now. You can find me anywhere. I'm starting to post short form content. Make sure you're checking back here. And also on TikTok, I've got a pretty big shorts campaign coming in April that I think is really cool and I'm really excited about. Thank you all. You guys have been blowing up my analytics lately for both myself and Strive2Fi, my podcast. Check it out over there. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.